everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Inside Lines podcast. I'm your host, Atoya Burleson.
And I am Tia Avril.
Coming up a bit later in the show, we'll actually be doing a throwback to our Super Bowl conversation with Pinky Cole, owner of Slutty Vegan. We'll also be getting into our hot take this week where we'll be chatting quite a bit about divorce. But first, Tia, how's life?
Life is good. I got a little story time for y'all though this week.
Okay.
So I was in JCPenney midweek, and before y'all judge me, I ran in there to get shampoo. Okay. The shampoo that works best on my son is Rucker Roots, and I had forgot to order it. So actually, we need to try to get them on the show, but it's a company based out of Charlotte, North Carolina, whatever. Okay. So anyway, they sell it in store at JCPenney. So I went down there literally from Bellevue to South Center. So that's in Tukwila. That's about 20 minutes from Bellevue for those of you who are not familiar, to the mall. So mind you, I go at like 10:30 in the morning. Mall opens at 10. I'm going to go early, do it, and get back so I'm not in traffic. Me and my mom walk out of JCPenney, and there's two guys walking. Now, one guy is walking behind the other. The guy in front is like leaning back onto the guy behind him, but it looked like the guy behind him was just trying to like keep him up, help him stand up. And if you go to the mall early, I don't know, you see like those access vans bringing people that need some additional like physical help, whatever there. So this is what I'm thinking in my head. I'm like, oh, he must be going to one of the access vans. Right. Well, so I'm watching the whole thing, like standing in the middle of the street, watching this transpire. Like, I don't know what was in me that made me want to stop and look at this. Next thing I know, another guy comes from between the cars and puts a gun to this man's head. And I'm talking like point blank range. 10 o'clock or 10:30 in the morning in the middle of the mall. And there's another gentleman who is in his SUV, but he comes outside of his SUV and like stands on the ledge of the door watching this transpire as well. I have no idea what they're saying, but they were so close. And I'm like standing in the middle of the street, and my mom was like, get in the car. Of course, I hop in the car and I like speed out of the parking lot. But I call 911, whatever. And I'm telling them, and they're like, okay, are you still in the lot? Fuck, no, I'm not still in the lot. Like, this man had a gun and it was 10 feet, 15 feet in front of me, you know? Right. And, but anyway, so I hop on the highway because if you are familiar again with the mall, it sits right off of the highway. Frightened the mess out of me. But as I'm like, I called Cliff, and Cliff was like, man, that's crazy. Like, stay away from South Center, whatever. I added to my group chat, like, hey, y'all, stay away from South Center. It is bad. Like 10:30 in the morning, this man has a gun to his head, whatever. And I just move on with it, like, whatever. Do you know, like, 4 people called me like, oh my gosh, that's so traumatic. Like, are you okay? Like, whatever. And I was sitting there thinking, I'm like, that is some traumatic stuff to like just move about your day and see, right? Like, that's not, mind you, I grew up in the hood, but I never seen stuff like that. I may have seen somebody doing drugs, but I never seen somebody get a gun pulled out on them, let alone it be that close to, if he wanted to turn around, he could have shot me, or, move 45 degrees, he could have shot me. But what is so frightening, and I'm like, okay, I want to talk about this with my therapist, is I literally moved about my day like as if nothing had happened. And like, I didn't even sit down and process it till later on that night where I was like, yo, have we just gotten so used to traumatic shit happening to us that we can't even sit down and like really process, like, this shit is not normal. Like, the world is crazy. We see stuff on social media, and it's just like, that's not something I want to become desensitized to. Like, I was scared in the moment, I ran in the moment, but I don't want to be like desensitized to stuff like that happens, because that shit's not normal. Like, we are living in such a scary time.
We are. And first of all, I'm glad you're okay. That's number one. Number two, sounds like there was nothing on the news, so hopefully nothing happened in that situation of whatever happened. But you are 100% right about, we've become desensitized. It's like one thing after the next. So it's almost like you're at the movies all the time. You just watch it. Oh, okay, well, that was good. On to the next thing. Like, oh, did you see that? That's crazy. And that's how it is even on social media. We'll see something crazy that happens. You're like, oh my gosh, it'll be clickbait, talked about for a few days, and then it's something new. So it is not normal. We do have to find a way to like figure out how we deal, how we deal with those situations and not just feel like it's normal to have guns pulled out in front of you and you just go on about your day like nothing happened. But I'm glad you're okay because that's scary.
Thank you, girl.
I would have been running. Your mama was right. Get in the car. That would have been, you would have to tell me nothing. I would have been skirt.
Girl, when I say, and then Cliff is like, keep your ass away from South Center. I'm like, listen, you ain't even got to worry, okay? I'm going to be right here at Bellevue Square and go about my business. But yeah. So anyway, enough about that crazy situation. But what's been up with you?
I just want to tell you and Cliff this because I think y'all would be so proud.
Oh, what happened?
So my boys had a football game this weekend. And the coach came to my son Nehemiah earlier this week and they asked him if he would move to DN because they needed that position filled. So Nehemiah decides to move to DN and you would be so proud of him. He had 2 sacks in the game this past weekend.
Come on, Nehemiah.
I said, I can't wait to tell Tia and Cliff that they're going to be so proud because, I've been an offensive person my whole life. But but it was so fun and crazy seeing him out there beasting out. It was crazy.
Yeah. Like, and then for it to be a new position, like a couple of days, 2 days into this position. Okay, so wait, did you get any of it on film?
I did not get his sacks, but my brother did because my brother's in town and his whole family was in town. So he said he got it on film and he's going to send it to me. So I will send it over to you. But when I say so when they asked him to do it, he was like, okay, they're like, why don't you just get some reps on JV because JV's game is earlier in the week. So he's like, well, let me just go out there. So that was his first time. He went out there. He was like, hit a tip ball for an interception. He's like, oh, yeah, I could do this. I can try this. So
I know that's right.
So then he got into the game on Friday and we have a DN on our hands, girl. I can't believe it.
Come on. Does he? Okay, so do he think that's a position he wants to stay in?
Yeah, I asked him. I said, do you like this position better than tight end? He's like, well, there's not really a scheme and I don't get as much plays at tight end. So in his mind, he's like, but I'd be in at every rep on if I play defense. So yeah, like I want to be in on every rep. So that was his mentality. And he, Nehemiah is very like positive. He finds a way to like make it make sense. And he went out there, boy, and balled out. I was a proud mama.
Yes. Okay. So we have to, when your brother sends the video, we have to insert it for our YouTube viewers to see him ball out. But that's so exciting. Tell him it was. Congratulations.
I will definitely tell him he was even so proud. He was real sore the next day, but
yeah.
He learned. He's like, this is a little different. He had a scratch on his neck. He was like really sore, but he was so proud of himself. And I told him, I said, you should be. I said, because this is something that you decided to do. You took it on and you killed it. So you should be 100% proud of yourself. So.
Yes, that's awesome. So come on over to the dark side.
I know, right? So different.
Defense wins championships, okay?
Real talk. My brother was calling him Julian Peterson. All right, Julian Peterson. All right, JP, the whole weekend. It was hilarious. It was cute. So yeah, good times.
He bought out for his uncle.
He did. He really did. So, all right, enough about that. Let's get into this week's hot takes. All right, it's time for this week's hot take. Tia, what we got?
Hot takes this week. I'm not gonna lie, it saddens me, okay? Because we are talking a whole lot about divorce. So earlier in the week, we found out that Tia Mowry and her husband Cory Hardict, that they were splitting up. They've been together 14 years. They have 2 kids, but it seems like it may be an amicable separation, but it just came to a surprise, for most of us. And then Miguel and his wife Nazanin also decided to call it quits after they've been together for 17 years, married for 3 years.
Since high school, right?
I don't know if it was, well, probably because it's 17 years that put you in alignment. But, she's a model. Of course, Miguel is an award-winning artist himself. But They actually announced they were filing for divorce in 2021, and then they reconciled the early part of 2022, and then now it's kind of like sounds like they're done. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then lastly, Tom Brady and his model wife Giselle, they may be headed towards divorce. So just about every news outlet at this point have said that Giselle and Tom both hired divorce attorneys, and looks like they're headed for divorce after 13 years. They share 2 kids together. Of course, Tom has kids with his previous relationships, but all this talk about divorce, like it seems like it all hit the same day too. Just kind of has me like, what is going on? Like, what is the devil doing in these relationships or in relationships in general?
Yeah. I think that with divorce, it's one of those things you never want for anyone, because all I do is I think about the kids, right? And I think about like it has to be so hard splitting time in between 2 parents, 2 different set of rules. The parents may not be getting along. The kids feel all of that. So it is definitely, it's just sad to hear. It really is. It's sad to read all of it. But like to your point of saying it all just came so fast out of nowhere. I feel like back in the day, people tried everything. They was hanging on to the thread of the thread of the thread before they like let go, which may be good or bad. It's however people want to view that. But now it's like, I was saddened because you don't know why. You don't know like what was so bad. You don't know, did they try?
And to be honest, you don't even know how long that they have been sitting in it, right? Because people don't just wake up and say, I want to get a divorce, right? Things have had to been rough for a minute. And
even with Tom, like we've heard the whispers, we've heard the speculation. But I was thinking like when they told me that she was mad because he decided to play another year and not spend time with his family. I'm like, but you getting a divorce though? Like I was just like, no, you can't get a divorce over that, But I guess I'm that person that always wants the best, and you want people to win, and you just don't want people to end it over something that could somehow be resolved. I don't know if people are not going to a therapist. I don't know what's going on in this world right now, but it is very disheartening.
Yeah, and again, I'll say, like, we don't know how long they've been, whatever. We don't know if they have experienced therapy, or maybe they feel like it's beyond that, whatever. But it is kind of like interesting. And the Giselle and Tom Brady situation, of course, this is all speculation because we don't know. We literally don't know much about their relationship because they don't speak a lot about it, right? But I do wonder if their divorce stems from him deciding to play again. So I know Tom Brady himself has always said that, hey, at 45, like that's when I'm going to retire. And I was listening to a podcast and they were like, we all knew that Tom was going to play until he's 45. So I don't know what Giselle's upset about. And I'm like, plans change every day, B. Like you can always go into a relationship thinking one thing, but then your desires, your needs, what the family needs, like it shifts. Atoya and I talk about it all the time with even our career shifts. But I really want Giselle to speak if she ever does, like if the divorce is true, I would want her to speak, because when people look at Tom, they look at him as being the end all be all, like greatest athlete ever. Like he's financially stable, even though Giselle has had and probably continues to have a larger net worth and stuff that she brought to the table as well. People look at Tom Brady as like the man. So Giselle, what are you doing? And I like, you just don't know what or how this type of career takes a toll on your family and your relationship. So
yeah, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. There's a lot of sacrifice for women. We literally are forced to do it all. And I remember that. Like I remember Nate toward the end of his career and feeling like I've always had to pack up the kids, sign them up for a new school, find new places for them to do sports and activities, pack all my 8 bags, fly twice a year to set up 2 different homes. Like I literally had everything in my hand. So it does, after a while, I think when you're younger, you just do it, you just go with it. But then you just get to the point where you're tired and you need help. And so I understand that side. So Giselle, if you want to come on Inside Lines podcast and talk about
it,
we would love for you to come on, because we understand, girl, it's tiring. It's a lot of work. And to your point, Tia, that people only see the Tom Brady, the glitz and the glamour. They don't see the intricacies and all the hard work that goes into it. And so those things need to be talked about and they need to be recognized. And people need to understand there's so much more than what meets the eye.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, that's it for this week's Hot Takes. Coming up next, we are throwing it back to our conversation with Pinky Cole. She just expanded into the New York area with a restaurant in Brooklyn and announced one in Harlem coming soon. Pinky, thank you for being such an inspiration and sharing so many gems with us over the Super Bowl in Los Angeles. You guys enjoy this conversation with Pinky Cole.
Pinky, welcome to the show. Okay.
Thanks for having me.
So first off, congratulations on like everything. I was looking at one of your posts and you reflected back on 2021 and I was like, yo, she was killing it. And then kicked off 2022 on the cover of Essence. So yes. So okay, so tell us about that experience. Like,
I'm still in the experience. Have y'all seen the cover of Essence magazine?
She's on there.
It's been an amazing journey. When people ask me how I feel, I'm like, all of my wildest dreams came true. I'm that little 10-year-old girl that said, when I grow up, I'm gonna make it, I'm gonna be a star. Like, I'm gonna be bigger than life. And here I am, looking not like the status quo, on the cover of one of the largest magazines in the world, and I earned it. And it feels so good when you earn your keep. So, I'm happy about that.
I know that's right. Yeah. Okay, so tell us about Slutty Vegan. Like, why did
Let's
you...
talk about the name first.
Let's start with the name. So can I have story time?
Yes.
Okay, so anybody ever heard of Slutty Vegan?
Yes.
Okay.
Of course.
So I used to be a television producer. So I come from the TV world. This is my world. I was a producer for the Mowry show for 3 years. I was a casting director for Yana Fix My Life and a whole bunch of other shows. So I had a restaurant at first, created this beautiful restaurant in Harlem. Shout out to Harlem, New York. And the restaurant did seemingly well. But for my 20s, I spent blood, sweat, and tears.
Wait, you were working in TV and running the restaurant?
I'm Jamaican. I do everything.
You do everything?
Multiple jobs.
So I was in New York, had this restaurant, took my 401k and really built it up. But I was hustling backwards because I didn't know the first thing about really running a business. But I needed that to happen because it really put me in position to be able to open up another business. So I lost it to a grease fire, lost everything. Car got repoed, got kicked out of my apartment, literally went flat broke, failed relationship. All of the things that you never wanted to happen in a business happened for me. And then that same week, I got a call saying, do you want to work as a supervisor and producer on the show called Yana Fix My Life? So I'm like, hell yeah, I'm going. So I moved back to LA. I used to live here, actually. And while I was in LA working on the show, they called me and said, hey, Pinky, we want you to come back to Atlanta where I went to school at. And they said, we want you to work on the show for about 3 months. So I packed up my 1-bedroom apartment. I was living in the Valley, okay? So I packed up my 1-bedroom and I said, I'm gonna come back in 3 months. When I was in Atlanta, I wanted some vegan comfort food on the late night, right? So all of my friends was like, okay, all right, what you gonna eat? I'm like, I'm tired of eating a side salad and fries
And French
every day.
fries,
Yes. And it hit me like a light bulb. Which is why I tell people, like, that idea that's supposed to work for you, like, it really don't take a lot of building and all that stuff. It's just gonna hit you, like it's gonna hit your spirit. And that hit my spirit. So it started as a ghost restaurant. And you asked me about the name, but I'm giving you more than what you asked me.
No, this is great.
So it started as a ghost restaurant. I named it Slutty Vegan because if I would have named it Pinky's Vegan, nobody was coming. But I knew that I could help people to reimagine food in a way that they've never seen it before. If I make it provocative, if I make you want to ask questions, and I did that. And I went from ghost kitchen to food truck to now having 5 locations, in the process of opening 5 more locations, and a whole bunch of other amazing things happening, closing on a really big raise and cookbooks and all of this good stuff. And it just shows me that, like, when you are in alignment with your vision, everything will work out for you.
I know that's right.
That is good.
All right. Yeah. So y'all done already got a glimpse of, if you have listened to any one of Pinky's interviews, if you don't walk away like wanting to be
Inspired.
the best, whatever, create the next Fortune 500 company, like, I don't know what you were just listening to then. So where did that drive come from? Like, where did that passion
Passion comes from everywhere for me. The first layer of it was the day that I was born, and obviously I didn't realize it now, full circle moment. My father was a big time drug dealer in Baltimore. So the day that I was born on December 8th, 1987. Shout out to my 80s babies. My father was being sentenced to 30 years in prison. So while I was getting my freedom and coming into the world, my father was losing his, right? So I grew up watching a Jamaican mother who at the time didn't have her citizenship. She working at McDonald's, working at the bank. She's a singer, she's a musician, she's a dancer, she's doing Sankofa, she's doing everything. Then I see my father behind bars, having to see him 2 hours at a time on holidays, but telling me about business and entrepreneurship and how to be a hustler, even behind bars and combined. So my motivation was to make sure that when I grew up, I never had children that would have to experience what I had to experience. My mother obviously did the best that she could, but I'm like, we ain't gonna live a mediocre life because I'm not regular. Right? Like, we're gonna make sure that we're gonna have the things that we want, and we ain't gotta beg, borrow, or steal from nobody, and we're not gonna make no illegal decisions because we live in righteously, right? So I had it in my mindset that I was gonna work so hard that my mother would never have to work a day in her life again. And that is really my biggest motivation.
That's beautiful.
That's right.
Yeah, that really is. Now, have you always been vegan, or what happened? Like, how did you?
What was the transition?
Yeah,
so I ate some chicken in the past.
Okay.
My mother's a Rastafarian, so I grew up in that lifestyle. So that's Ethiopian Christianity. Never seen my mother wear makeup. Clearly, I got makeup. I'm like, I'm not my mother. She never wore earrings, never shaved, nothing. A very natural woman. So we grew up eating Ito food. And so I like to consider myself growing up as a vegetarian. And 8 years ago, I decided to go vegan cold turkey because I'm that girl. I'm like on YouTube looking at a challenge, looking at a fast, right? Like trying to be better, right? Opening up my consciousness in any way that I could. And that was the best decision that I ever made for a couple of reasons. One, because I have this level of clarity that is so unmatched because I don't eat the flesh of a dead animal. And nothing wrong with the people who do in the audience, right? I'm not that vegan. I'm not like, oh, you're going to hell if you don't eat vegan. That ain't me. I don't care what you eat. I care about me, right? But I also want to encourage people to eat better. That's the first piece. The second piece is it allowed me to position myself in my purpose. You know how people say like, you got to find your purpose. And for a long time, I was very confused about what that purpose was because I'm like, I ain't got no real talent. I know how to run my mouth, right? Like I know how to talk to people. I can't sing. I can't dance that good, right? But I realized through my lifestyle and wanting to see my friends live better, look better, feel better, I was able to walk into my purpose. So now I get to do what I love. I get to help a lot of people and I get to get paid to do it. That's purpose, right? And that feels so good to me. So I'm so glad that I did it. I'll never go back. I just had a daughter 6 months ago and she's vegan too. Do I look good, y'all? I just had a baby, y'all, 6 months ago.
I was just about to say.
But
amazing.
I'll never go back and I'm happy that I made that decision.
Yes. Okay, so I watched your Breakfast Club interview where you spoke about like success not being just about money and essentially making sure that you are inspiring other people to pursue whatever it is that they want to do. Can you speak a little bit about that, just essentially reaching back to other people? Because I feel like, especially with Instagram and stuff, people secure the bag and they just done with it, but not really looking back and pulling the next one.
What I learned for me specifically is anytime I've ever, which was very rare in the very beginning, a long time ago, anytime I ever put money first, it never worked, right? And I believe that when your intention is in the wrong space, then things will never work out for you. I don't care what it is, whether it's personal or professional. So everything that I do gotta be intentional first. It gotta be mission driven first because I tell people this all the time. I'm a magnet to money. Money gonna come to me, right? Like I attract it just because of what I speak out of my mouth. So nothing that I do, I don't care if it's $1 billion on the table, if it don't feel right in my spirit, I cannot do it. And everybody should always think like that as well because what I've learned is because I don't move behind money, money is important, obviously. It provides us a level of freedom to get the things that we want and what we need. So we're gonna need it, it's going to have to come, but that shouldn't be a part of the first step. And because I didn't create Slutty Vegan for money, I believe that's the reason why I still almost 4 years later have lines down the block. So if you are an entrepreneur, like make sure that what you're building is intentional. Who are you helping? What problem are you solving? Like, how are you making the world better? Because as a result of that, the money is always going to come, and you're going to try to figure out how to stop it from coming so fast.
Yeah.
I'm in a position where I'm able to say no to the biggest opportunities that I only dreamed of because I never moved for money first. I turn down opportunities because I've never moved for money first. And when you're pure-hearted and intentional about those things, everything will always work out for you.
That's beautiful. That's a word right there, y'all. Listen. So I have a question. Let's talk about your delicious food.
Yes.
Real quick, because I don't know if you guys have tried her food, but I just want to talk about when you came up with these ideas. Were you like, I want to make this food taste like the food that people that eat meat enjoy? So that, like, what was your intention behind it?
So that's absolutely right. So the first piece is helping people to reimagine food. So although I didn't grow up eating burgers and fries, everybody around me grew up eating burgers and fries, right? So I knew that if I created something that tasted like the real thing, then people will want it. 97% of the people who come to Slutty Vegan are meat eaters. That's my audience. I don't need the vegans. They already got it figured out. Right? Like, we already know what to eat, right? But the people who eat pork and chicken and beef, those are the people who I want, because then I can be able to change your mind. Even if you don't want to go vegan, you could try Slutty Vegan and be vegan for Slutty Vegan, right? So it worked that way because, come on, let's talk about it for real. I lived in LA for a long time. Like, you know, sometimes us vegans could be very aggressive, and I didn't want to have a business, for real. Y'all know what I'm talking about.
Really?
Listen, I didn't want to be that person, and I didn't want to create a business around that. I wanted to create a business where the experience was so magnificent, and it felt like you were having nostalgia and coming to your favorite place on earth, like Hershey Park, King's Dominion, Universal Studios. So you come for the experience and you leave with the food. And in order for me to meet the people where they were, I had to really add some fusion to it. And that's like hip hop music, like top 40 trap, make people feel good, and infuse the culture and entertainment in it. And when I started to do that, I realized that people were having so much fun in my business, they didn't even realize they were eating vegan food.
You up there dancing and
Right, so then celebrities started to come naturally endorsing my brand. Right? Never had to pay a celebrity to say my food tasted good. And I had everybody you can think of. Just recently, Justin Timberlake just came to my restaurant and ate a burger. I'm like about to pass out. But yes, it just tells you that, like, when you create something that's like so extraordinary and different from everything else, it really will work for you. And I got some pushback in the beginning, right? But now that pushback really turned my motivation on to go harder, and it's paying off for me. Yeah.
Okay, so you spoke about your cookbook being released this summer?
Yes.
Okay, so what can we expect from this?
So I have a cookbook coming out. It's called Eat Plants, Bitch.
Slutty Vegan.
Yes.
It's a #1 new release out right now, and it's slated to come out this summer. And it's 91 recipes for the meat lover in you. So remember, I said my audience is the meat lover. And it's all the recipes that you would cook in the house. So if you know how to read, which everybody here knows how to read, then you will be able to experience all the goodness that's in the food truck, in the cookbook. And what I did is I took a handful of local chefs and cooks in Atlanta and beyond, some in LA, some in New York, some in Chicago, and allowed them to put their own recipes so that they can showcase their business as well, because I'm all about bringing the community up. So hopefully you pre-order the book. It's coming out. It's going to be amazing. I have so many amazing things going on, and I'm just happy
Excited.
to be here.
Well, I can't wait to get it because I'm a little challenged in the kitchen. But I done told people multiple times, as long as the instructions are clear, I am good to go. Okay.
Yes.
Look, my husband laughing. He know he'll still eat it though, but he'd be like, a little too much salt on that one, babe.
Don't worry.
When you talk about your recipes, because I'm not going to let you, I don't want you to tell everybody your secrets, but I do want to know, is there one thing that you made or that you tried to make vegan that was difficult? Like, what was the hardest thing you were like, you know what, this one I haven't quite?
Absolutely nothing.
Nothing. So it was all like.
Yeah, so I'm not a chef. I want to be clear. I'm not a chef. I did not go to culinary school.
Okay.
But I am a foodie, and I know food that tastes good.
Okay.
So it don't matter what it is. If you know good food is good, whether it comes from an animal or not, right?
Okay.
So what I've been able to do is get creative in the kitchen, right? I just wanted to There's a restaurant. Y'all ever heard of Doomies? So I took my boyfriend. I'm like, we're going to a taco spot. He's not vegan. And he like, okay, tacos. I want tacos. But it was like a vegan taco and he didn't know and he liked it. But the moral to my story is that like food that's not vegan can taste, food that's vegan can taste really, really good and taste like the non-vegan stuff. You just got to know how to apply the seasoning.
How to season.
Yeah, and just make it taste
Challenge
good.
a little bit,
and you'll never know the difference for the most part.
I need to learn some new recipes.
Yes.
We dibble dabble in the vegan world here and there.
All right, so as you just mentioned, you became a new mommy, and your business is catapulting, of course. How have you been able to find the balance? Well, I don't even want to say balance, the harmony, because I don't even think there's a such thing as balance, but harmony with new motherhood and being a business owner.
That's a good question. So when I was pregnant, that was the biggest anxiety for me, right? Like, I love business. I love the idea of being an entrepreneur. And what gave me anxiety is that I never wanted to have to compromise. I wanted to be a really good mommy, and I still wanted to be a really good CEO. But what I learned is that you don't have to compromise, right? As long as you got support, and as long as you are clear and create systems, because sometimes we don't understand that you got to create systems in your household too, right? Especially as entrepreneurs, and I had to learn that. Like, I create systems in my business, but you create systems at home too, and you treat home like a business. But because I have a village and people that want to see me win and already know that like their livelihood depends on my wins, they're also going to continue to support me, not just for that reason, but they want to see me grow and win. And I've always been like this. I've always been a career woman first, and I want mothers to understand, like, you shouldn't have to take the back seat just because you had a baby, right? I know so many mothers like, well, I had a kid, and I'm putting that first. No, like, you can have it all. You can be a woman and have it all and have everything and do all the things that you wanted to do. Children or no children. And I'm just so happy that I have the right people in my space to be able to support that dream so that I don't have to stop living it and create a legacy for her so that she don't have to work for nobody for the rest of her life.
That's right.
Yeah.
Amen to that.
Have you been having any or experiencing any mom guilt?
Yes.
That's
Because I'm
real.
pregnant again. So hopefully she...
Wait a minute!
Don't tell nobody that.
She said, don't tell nobody.
When are y'all airing this?
Until
When is
next
this
week.
airing?
Huh?
I'm hot, right? Listen, the light. That's the only mommy guilt because I'm having another baby now, and I just had a baby, right? I've been hot in the kitchen. But I'm having another baby now, and I want to make sure that like my first child is reaching all the milestones, and that she gets the same amount of attention that the new baby gets. That's the only thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Nah, you'll be great. I already know you're going to kill it. Okay.
I think about my two boys because they're close in age, and I feel you on that. When you have them really close, you always feel like that guilt of the first one kind of had to grow up a lot quicker than you expected them to. So that's a real
Oh, and they're going to be close.
Yeah.
They're going to be close.
Like
And
12 months apart. Close.
They're best.
Your Irish twins.
It's his fault.
Do you see yourself getting back into media, like TV?
I'm in it now.
Wait a minute.
I'm talking to y'all. This is media, TV.
I thought you
So I am working on some TV shows. Since Essence came out, there's been a lot of really big opportunities to do TV. So now I got options. Thank you, God. God is good. I just finished a documentary for Slutty Vegan about the meteoric rise of Slutty Vegan in the pandemic. So remember, we're still in it. Like, the world is crumbling on this side. My businesses continue to thrive and grow on this side. So I'm doing a documentary about how all of these elements were happening around this business that continue to grow. So that's coming out this summer. So I'm excited about that. And then I just signed a deal to do a reality show.
Nice.
Let's go.
Yes.
All right, so what's it going to be about? They're going to come in a restaurant?
It's going to be like a Wahlburgers, but
Okay.
Slutty Vegan style, yeah.
know,
About
that's
how we
right.
get to build this empire, because we're moving really fast, right?
Yeah.
In 4 years, we've done what a lot of other businesses have never been able to do, which is a blessing for us. And people are just going to document all of the good things that we have going on.
Are you going to show people how to cook this vegan food?
No.
Okay.
But I'm going to show people how to be a boss and be an entrepreneur and be
Okay.
motivated.
Fair
Yes.
enough, fair enough.
That's what
Love
I'm going to do.
Listen. I remember learning about Slutty Vegan through another one of my favorite podcasts, The Friend Zone. Like them saying, Slutty Vegan is doing a pop-up in Charlotte, we there kind of thing. And just to your point, like, you took off And it was amazing to watch from afar, and just seeing that everything you got going on now, everything that's to come, like, you are such an inspiration, and we are so excited to see what else Slutty has.
Thank you. And I'm just excited for the growth, and I'm just blessed to be in spaces like this to be able to talk to y'all. And for the people who don't know me before this, please just look us up. And we do a lot for the community. I didn't even talk about that. Like,
yes. Okay.
We want to talk about that.
They've been giving us timestamps, but I've been like, no, we got to talk about this life insurance. We got to talk about like all this stuff, because I'm like, that is dope as hell.
So I started the Pinky Code Foundation in 2019, and when I talk about be intentional, that's what I meant. And it was really just a way to formalize helping people, because I love to do that. So we've done a lot. I've partnered with the Steve Harvey and Marjorie Harvey Foundation to provide lights for families. I've donated hundreds of thousands of fruits and vegetables to people in the community. I paid the local rents of businesses so that they didn't have to close to the pandemic. I paid the balances of 30 college students so that they could graduate. When Rashard Brooks was murdered, my boyfriend and I, we partnered together, and we life insurance for the family, brand new car, $600,000 worth of scholarships. And just most recently, we partnered with Prudential to provide life insurance for every Black man in Atlanta who makes $30,000 or less. And that's just a short list. Like, I've done so much, like Department of Juvenile Justice, so much stuff. And that is what fulfills me, to be able to help people.
Let's talk about that life insurance one, because again, from the Breakfast Club interview, and I found out about you guys' partnership, that was something, one, that you don't even think about, right? Like you don't think about needing life insurance, or excuse me, the everyday person usually don't think about needing life insurance, but to gift that to somebody that don't even see that being a possibility, like, can you talk a little bit more about that?
Absolutely. So we created the Square One campaign, and what I realized about people in general is that we will insure material items before we insure our lives. Right? And it's so important to make sure that our lives are secured, not just for the fact that if I pass away, then I make sure that my family is taken care of. That's obviously number one. But there's financial literacy that's involved, where you can pull money out of your life insurance policy, right? So I wanted to make sure that for the people who didn't have the access or the resources in our communities to that information, I'm gonna be the change that I wish to see. Like, I wanna make sure that you understand that, like, we ain't gotta always do GoFundMes and fish fries, and no shade to the people who do that, but like, we live in different times now, and we have the elements and the resources. We just got to present it to the people, and that's exactly what we're doing. We already signed up a whole bunch of people, and it's funny because people are like, free, what's the catch? I'm like, it ain't no catch. Like, it's absolutely free. You pick your beneficiary, you pick your policy, but this was just something that we wanted to do because Black men have always been getting killed at an all-time high. And it's like, it's a sad reality. Like, how do we combat that? And I ain't no politician, but I don't need to be in office to make change. Yep. Right? So to be able to do that has just been a blessing, and I'm excited about doing it beyond Atlanta. I'm excited about coming to LA and coming to Baltimore and North Carolina and all the cities who really need it the most, and expanding it, not just from the Black man space. We just need to understand that that is where the problem lies the most, and then really expanding it out so that all people understand how important life insurance is.
Well, Ms. Pinky, you are amazing.
Absolutely.
We can sit and talk to you forever, and we thank you for sharing, spending this time with us and sharing everything that you've taught us. I've learned so much just sitting here listening, from the food side, from the entrepreneur side. We will definitely follow you and probably have some follow-up questions as well. But thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. You guys, Ms. Pinky Code.
Thank you.